another episode of In the Paint. Here again, my name is Avante,
And I'm John Michael.
and we are smack dab in the middle of the off season where all the action is happening. And I mean, straight up, we got a lot to cover, so we're gonna dive right into it. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest talks of the town, especially around the NBA, is Jaylen Brown signing the richest NBA contract in history at $304 million over 5 years. I, I don't even know what to say because I mean, 300 million over 5 years is like what, 60 mil a year, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the big question that then is like, what does Jason Tatum get? Because I mean, where does that go? So I mean, I wanted to ask you. You're the Boston guy. This is your team. This is y'all people. I thought I would start with you. So what did you think of the deal, and what do you think Tatum gets?
I think he deserved it because obviously this is graded on like regular season, obviously postseason play as well. I think especially him signing that, he said in the report he wants to bring Black Wall Street into Boston. So, I'm behind that. He's leading our community, like really likes to pioneer and good stuff. So I'm happy about him getting the money. And I mean, he made all defensive NBA team on defensive end and on all NBA teams. So I think it's worth it. As you just said, though, with the money and everybody, the contracts increasing every year, then Tatum has to go up from there. He has to be closer to like the 400s. And then now the Jokic and the Lucas, everybody's just going to keep seeing a big payday. Like as long as you hit your incentives, you play enough games, you make your all NBA teams, and then could make defensive or lead in the category, you're going to see a big boost. So I think he's deserving of it. Definitely for a third overall pick, definitely exceeded expectations in that regard.
Definitely agree. I mean, if we're talking about shooting guards in the league in terms of just pure one against the other, I mean, Jaylen Brown's at the top. I can't really say there are too many other shooting guards outside of, and I don't even want to say Harden, but outside of Harden and other shooting guards, how many other shooting guards are there that are better than Jaylen Brown and does what he does on a very efficient manner, and it's very consistent with what he does as well. So I mean,
Especially like
300 million. It was like we already knew it was coming. I am just interested to see what happens with Tatum's contract, knowing that they just signed Kristaps Porzingis and they're going to go kind of for a championship or bust sort of look on this whole thing, especially after trading away Marcus Smart. It's like, do you have enough money to go around? And two, what does that do to the dynamic of Tatum and Brown, if there even is a dynamic to consider? I thought it was just interesting. That's a lot of money to throw out there, especially at a guard. I don't know. So, I mean, and as far as Tatum goes, like you said, he might have to touch that 400 mil because I mean, it's like he just brings another types of presence that Brown doesn't have, but the fact that you have Tatum brings you to another level as a basketball club in general. Um, he's
I
got to
think
touch
he's
that 400.
there because as all these guards, because it's like a guard kind of driven NBA. It's a very ball dominant. Whoever like it's a lot about the big guards too. Like you want them to be like the 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", maybe even 6'9", that they can handle the ball, kind of do everything. And he brings a lot in the two-way front. Like we saw Damian Lillard, like before he requested a trade, he signed for like 2 years. What was it, like 100 million
Yep.
in Portland. So you see, like, if you're a guard, you've been in the league, like, and I was not making any of the All NBAs, but against Damian Lillard, so he's worth the money, and
Hmm.
he's been loyal to it. So I see everybody just seeing a big payday. Like Lucas is gonna break it. Then Tatum's gonna break it. Then Jokic when he does an extension. Then when Giannis comes and does an extension, it's like everybody's gonna keep going up and up and up.
Right.
I think for the players, definitely.
And I mean, I think it's coming. I mean, you see baseball, they don't have a limit or a stop to where how much they can offer. So I mean, I feel like we're about to get into those times where pretty soon that cap is going to go away and you can kind of offer anybody anything, especially if we start to see more international players enter into the league. I mean, the rules are going to change and they're going to have to adapt. So, I mean, it's coming. And like you said, Luka is an international superstar. You're going to have to pay him. Jokic just won a title. He's an international superstar as well. You're going to have to pay him. The same thing. You're going to have to do that. I'm not sure I would have paid Dame Lillard. I'm gonna catch hell for saying this too. I'm not sure I would have paid Dame Lillard 2 years, 100 mil, knowing that we haven't accomplished anything since he's been here. Straight up. I mean,
You got to.
I know and I appreciate his loyalty, but the simple fact of the matter is like Dame is the only piece we truly have out in Portland. And after they got rid of CJ, they didn't have anything except Dame, and
That's
they're
their
not
fault.
building.
Yeah, I just think it's also like this sometimes. it just becomes unlucky. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you crafted a team that was pretty good. They made the playoffs. They made like have they ever made conference finals? I know they made
Yep.
semis. They
Against
made,
Golden State.
they made conference, but again, you're going up against a generational Golden State. Like the era is like you just had bad luck where you're going against a Warrior dynasty that's been so dominant. So
Yep.
it was like it wasn't your really time to shine. Like if that team wasn't assembled, you probably had a better chance. Same way
Right.
the Rockets probably might have had it. Like James Harden probably could have
Yep.
got a ring. Like OKC would have probably got a ring. And there's all these little dynamics where you could have maybe done something, but you have a Warrior dynasty that kind of wiped out everybody. And in the East, same thing with LeBron. LeBron's there.
Yep.
No matter any good team that was assembled was not stopping a LeBron team. So it was just that's where it really just happened. I think I would have given him the money still because who else are you paying on the Blazers? Nobody. Like Jeremy Grant got 150
Yep.
for I'm like, but
Yeah.
he was balling. So again, if you play your role, you hit threes, you play defense, you do all around, and you can hoop and you're consistent, you're gonna see a big payday. Like Mikal Bridges, you're gonna see a big payday.
Oh
Cameron
yeah.
Johnson, you're gonna see a good payday. This is just keep going at it at your craft, and you're gonna see the benefits.
For sure. And I mean, I definitely knew Jeremy Grant was hooping, but at the same time, I felt like he got a large part of that money with the focus of you and Dame linking up and y'all becoming something. And it's like I see where y'all are headed, but there's not going to be enough time for y'all to even develop sort of a chemistry to even build anything worth pursuing. Because when they faced the Warriors in that one Western Conference final they got swept. They got blown out. But like you said, they ran into a generational Warriors team, sort of like the Bulls of the '90s, or the Lakers of the early 2000s. You're gonna get blown
Exactly.
out. That's just gonna
Nothing you can
happen.
do about it. Just luck. Like Patrick
Right?
Ewing could win a ring one day, but
Nope.
you have everything. Come on.
But that's the point though. Is like if we face this team and we know, oh, we got blown out by this team, you have to rebuild. You have to then say we need more pieces because we can't even get one game up there. And that's where I felt like they weren't willing. Because I'll keep it 100. I feel like Damian Lillard is like Stephen Curry light. He's like a light version of Stephen Curry. He can do a lot of the same stuff, just not to the same level as Stephen Curry. And given the fact that they maybe had similar teams, we may have seen a different outcome in that Western Conference final. But since they had wildly different teams, you just see Golden State run over Portland. But I'm not sure if I wouldn't have traded. I would have kept Dame at that point, but I'm not sure if I would have kept him as long as they kept him and then paid him additionally, knowing that
Yeah.
he's either going to retire soon or he needs to go.
I think it's very hard. Honestly, I've always thought about this, like, and thought this would be a topic. Like, as a GM, what do you do if you know your team is not gonna be a Nuggets
Yeah.
in 7, a
Yep.
Lakers in 7, a Celtics is what do you possibly do if you're gonna be for everybody that's like 7, 8, 6 seed, 5th seed? There's not really much for you to do. You just kind of go to playoffs, but we saw upsets this playoffs, but
Yep.
that was the first time we've seen that an 18 ever make it to the finals. Like that doesn't happen in NBA. It's literally
Yep.
written, like I'm not gonna say set in stone, but like whoever is projected to win, they're most likely gonna win the series because you can tell. Or like that player, if they dropped a couple seeds down, they're still gonna make it. Like the Warriors won last year and they weren't top 1 or 2
Right.
seed. They were like the 3rd seed or something. It's still won or 4th. But it's like I don't think you kind of scrap the whole team away. Like I don't know what you do. Like do you scrap the whole team away because the Warriors are there, or do you still kind of compete because there's still a level of it's still basketball at the end of the day. It's competitive. You don't know what's gonna happen, but like realistically, you don't have enough firepower. But like you don't
Right.
kind of scrap the whole squad away. You kind of just try a different lineup, like the Rockets. Like they keep trying a different lineup. You try Westbrook, then you try Chris Paul. You tried a couple years, but
I think they should have copied them. I think they should have copied them like the Rockets, the James
yeah,
Harden,
I
Chris
think
Paul era Rockets.
once
You
they
try to
got rid
copy
of
them.
CJ McCollum and got nothing in return, that's when they
Yep.
kind of they got rid of
And
CJ.
that was my whole issue is you trade away CJ McCollum, who I mean, honestly, if you're talking about defensive game plans and schemas in the playoffs, you lock down Dam. You double team him if you can and make him pass the ball. That goes to McCollum then. He's supposed to be the scorer. CJ was very sort of wishy-washy. Some games he give you 40, 50, other games he give you 17 and 20
Yeah, he
maybe.
wasn't hooping for real.
He wasn't always consistent with his hooping, but then it was like when they traded him away and didn't get anything back with the hope of just building around Dame, it was like, where do you plan to go? Because he's very quickly approaching the tail end of his career, and he's luckily a loyal dude to where he wants to be in Portland because that's just who he is. But anybody else would have been up out of there easily, out of there. So
But
I would say if you can't copy him, then you got to break it down.
yeah, definitely. But
So
hey, man, I respect it. Make your money, play some hoops. I mean,
I
at the
get
end of
it.
the day, win some games, and if you win the whole championship. But you're living a better life than most people. Like,
Right. That's true. All right. So I mean, we kind of hit on the next part of it then, because we were already talking about the Warriors and the Blazers, but I mean, Dame and James Harden have not landed anywhere yet this offseason. I mean, they're probably still the two biggest names as far as free agent goes that are still out there. If we're talking Dame and we're talking Harden, where do you see those two landing?
well, Dame has to go to the Heat. Like he said, he's not playing anywhere else. So Dame to
Mm-hmm.
the Heat, how they do it, I think it gets a little bit tricky. I think you have to move Harden. Gotta do like maybe a 3-team trade. Harden wants to go to the Clippers too. He expressed interest. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a very good play. I think that makes him a contender because I've always liked Paul George. I've always liked Kawhi, especially too, especially 2019 championships. I
Mm-hmm.
think they can go a long way. But it's always just been health and longevity. So it's always been that. But you have someone like Harden and Westbrook that play almost every single game. That
Mm-hmm.
gives you that they can keep you in good playoff standings and then hopefully like lessen the load that they have to take. And hopefully if they play more games, they can have like some chemistry. So I think you gotta do a 3-team trade. I think I've seen the rumors being like you take you could take the 76ers, take also the Heat and Blazers, switch the players around, and then do another swap from when you put Harden temporary on the Blazers and then move him to the Clippers. It was something like that. But I think they land at those places, and in the NBA, it's not like the NFL where it's fucking you can't do shit there. So
Right.
I gotta throw my little NFL thing. It's the players actually get the power because the players are bringing you the money and
Mm-hmm.
it's power to the players, especially the collective bargaining. I think they're gonna force their way to the teams that they want to. How long that takes, not sure. Because again, the Blazers are set on they want young players, but they also want like 4 first-round picks for it. So it's gonna need a second team. But
It definitely will. I mean, so I agree with you. I think Dame doesn't want to be anywhere but Miami. I easily see Kyle Lowry being traded for Dame. Now, where and how that works, it's got to be a 3-team trade because Portland's not going to let him go for anything less than the boat. I mean, they're going to ask for the entire house if they can and get it for it.
come on.
I mean, it's like it's unreal, but they're gonna ask for it because then whoever gets Dame, specifically Miami, they then become a championship contending team. Like now you have the piece to actually win a championship. So I don't see Dame going anywhere else but Miami as well. I would like to see him go somewhere else, but Miami is the only place I see him going with. If he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go there, I think he or James Harden should go to Brooklyn. I know he's got a really good relationship with Mikal Bridges, and they need a point. But more importantly, James Harden could stay in the East with Brooklyn. He's got another superstar in Mikal Bridges. He's got defense there. He's got bench depth, and he's got everything you would need, including 3-point shooting as well. And then he has his ability to do what he does. He could be the ball man. He could just step back, shoot the three. He could assist. He can be a second option, third option. It doesn't really matter. But they now have a couple of other pieces where I don't know how he does on the Clippers because I don't see how the Clippers isn't the same sort of scenario that he's gone to in Brooklyn, as well as in Houston, where he didn't have any help. Because now you're going to a team where Kawhi Leonard and Paul George already don't play. They already are hurt all the time and don't already play.
But I will say this, Clip. With that being said, Clippers still made playoffs. What, fifth seed? And those players did not play. Like Paul George played, got re-injured. Kawhi came in like later on in the season, but they still made 50, which means they have enough firepower on the team.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You smack a James Harden there, it's almost like the Rockets reborn. Like when he
Well,
was
what do
there.
you give up? Okay, so that's a good point. What do you give up? But then the Rockets didn't win anything with James Harden at the helm there. So I'm not sure it's worth it.
And Paul George, I think it's a lot different. If they are able to come in healthy, I think pretty much Harden keeps the team in striking distance. Like wait, Harden played with Westbrook before, and they like
Right.
that time they were
Right.
with each other. You do that again, now you have a bit with better, stronger pieces that were already fifth seed.
Right.
You win that, and now you add in two-way players that can play off the ball and don't need the ball in their hands the whole time.
So
And
you
then
don't
my,
give up Westbrook for Harden.
I don't think you need to in that. situation because Westbrook already signed the
The
veteran minimum.
extension
I
he
don't even think
did.
the money
Yeah.
would even line up itself to even do that. So I think they're pretty much fine. I think it's just about like just moving around just the pieces. You're gonna give up like your role players for that guy. That's pretty much what you're gonna do.
Right. But then they end up in a situation like Phoenix, though, where they have a ton of superstars and not a whole lot of depth.
Mm, the
Because that's
thing
that's my big critique with Phoenix.
now with Bradley Beal, I'm gonna throw you a curveball though,
Okay.
because I was thinking about this while you're saying it. Again, like how it comes into everybody's errors, like everybody's time, we just get unlucky. Like so
Hmm.
Joel Embiid, every single time the 76ers get excited, think they're gonna do something, Celtics come and shut it down.
Injury.
So now Harden wants out, Joel Embiid. Do you stay there or do you leave? I think you leave. There's
Joel Embiid's gone. He's not staying in Philly.
like we said in the
He's
Blazers, like
gone.
how long do you keep doing it? Because they tried it. They tried rebuilding many
Yep.
times, tried coaches, but what do
Yep.
you do when you can't beat whoever the top team is the East? It's either the Celtics stop you or the Bucks stop you or the Heat. Honestly, you just gotta rebuild, I
I
guess.
think he's gone. I mean, he already hinted at it, didn't he? He was like trolled it, like, oh, you can't win it. Guess you got to go somewhere else and win it or something like that. He said something along those lines.
He's gonna be on the move too. I'm gonna say
I
keep your
agree.
eye for
I
that.
agree. I agree. And it's like, how many times do you need to lose to the Celtics to realize this isn't working? Because they lose every year at the same spot to the Celtics. Every
Not
year.
second round. It's like a curse. So
I
you
don't
know,
get it. And it's like, no matter who you add, you lose in the same spot to the same team. And I mean, Al Horford was on one point with the Sixers facing the Celtics. They lost. He came back to Boston because he was like, oh, no, this ain't going to work. Like, they're not going to be
so
able to do it. But
that's
that's
what
why
I
I
think.
think. But that's why I think Harden should go to Brooklyn because it's an easier conference, and Brooklyn made the playoffs against Philly last year.
They don't want them. They don't want Harden again. After what Harden put them
I
through,
know, I know, I
they're
know,
not gonna want him again after that.
I know, I know. And
100 year
it would be a
or
good
$100
scenario, but no, I
it's
agree.
one time, and they're not gonna want him. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I mean, if it'd be different, it was Kyrie, but nah, I see what you mean. It was a very tumultuous
they're
time for
not
them in
gonna.
Brooklyn.
They're not gonna really want. It's New York. The fans are rowdy. You have one chance to win them over. After
Yep.
that, they're gonna just
They're gonna turn
twist.
on you.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna turn on you. Okay. Well, I mean, I would love to see James Harden go back to Brooklyn, but realistically, if he doesn't,
Clippers.
he only wants to go to LA. He only wants to go to the Clips.
Exactly.
So I mean, we already
And
know
it's
where they
from the area
want to
too.
land.
He's from around there too. I'm pretty sure he's from LA area or
But yeah,
Arizona. So he wants to go. He's gonna want to go back home. You know,
yeah,
he doesn't. He already has the bag. Take a veteran
true.
minimum or get paid whatever. He does. Whoever has the next contract doesn't even have to worry about it because that he signed initially with that team. Or I
Right.
forget what the logistics is. I think they take over eventually. But go to
I
the Clippers.
mean, the Clips are talking about they don't want to offer Kawhi and Paul George long-term renewal contracts too. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, I understand that move just because realistically, if y'all don't play, I'm gonna pay y'all. But
Exactly. I think you
you
got to
know,
fill it out. I think they'll do extensions after they see who they pick up. Like
oh, okay. So let me ask you
hard.
this, because you asked this first. As a GM, what do you do in that scenario for the Clips? If you're their GM, what do you do?
I think especially with Harden wanting to come there, I extend them. I extend them because
Okay.
we already were. You already took the risk with them before. You already knew this coming in, like how many games they played. You took the chance on a Paul George after the injury.
Right.
So
Mm.
I'm like, what is there to do? Like you guys are still in striking distance. I think the West is still
Right.
always been the hardest conference. I think you still have time to still turn it around.
Right.
You know, I
Okay.
think you match up great against like a Jokic offense. You know, you have a lot of defensive players that will know how to switch and everything. So
Right.
I think you can make it all mesh. It's just about, I think it's healthy. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot.
If they can
They,
find a way, exactly. That's all it is. That's all. It's only health. That's all it is. That's all it is.
the Clippers always been a strong team depth wise. They've always been a team that the next man up always can like, even with
Exactly.
series when there was like Lou Will and everybody, that Patrick Beverly, they had
Terrence Mann,
no superstar had made it to,
the playoffs, and made it deep too.
and they stole 2 games from the Warriors when they did that. They went to like,
Yep.
or stole 1 or 2 games. So I'm like, yeah,
And that's what I'm concerned about. To get Harden, they're going to give up like Terrence Mann or someone like that who's like integral to their organization. But I mean, I'm thinking if they can find a way to get rid of some picks to get Harden, you'll win that way. Just because, I mean, it seems like picks are drying up. Thunder has all of them.
if
So
they do the 3 team trade properly, they probably wouldn't even have to put up a lot of their assets as much. They would
right,
probably just put up their picks.
and if they
Me,
do that, yeah.
Blazers, like the other teams will put up the players for them, and they're just moving around 1 or 2 people, so they don't kind of compromise too much.
All right. So if you have Dame versus Steph Curry, who you taking? and why?
This is a very hard debate. I talk
I
about this.
know.
I think it just comes down to. I mean, Curry is the generational shooter, the best shooter alive.
Hmm.
Like what I would like personally, like if I'm starting a team, I have to go with Curry. I have to go with
Yeah,
Curry.
same here. Curry. I mean, I think Dame is just Steph Curry light. I think he can do a lot of the same stuff as Steph Curry, but Steph is
Yeah,
Steph. I
more
mean,
athletic and everything, but I'm just thinking Steph Curry just the way he draws defense. It's just the way. It's just defense is where it's liability, but then they both don't play defense, so I
right.
have to go with Curry.
Okay. Harden versus D Wade.
Personally, I'm going Harden. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I think I said this briefly. I think I hinted at this before, but I'm
Oh
going.
my gosh. Okay, why? Why so?
It's the offense. The offense is
Okay, that's fair.
remember prime offense. It's arguably one of the best offenses that we were
True.
offensive performances we were seeing, and we've seen him play better defense. He facilitates a lot. D Wade has him on the 2-way, but like we've seen a lot of good perimeter defenders. We've
Right.
seen we've seen Tony Allen be a good defender. We've seen Avery Bradley be a good defender. Even Kobe was a better defender.
Yep.
Michael Jordan was a better defender. I say, yeah, I said Tony Allen was a better defender. There's a lot of people that could defend as a shooting guard, so I'm taking James Harden.
Okay. I think I would go with D Wade because D Wade gives you, like you said, defense, but he was very good at a lot of the intangibles that you couldn't see on the court, like splitting a defense. He was very good at splitting defenders. He's very good at shooting. He's fast as hell. And then his IQ was there as well, and he can kind of do everything. Um, I am just a big D Wade fan, so James Harden is great, but my issue with James Harden is once I start double teaming you and you pass the ball, that's it. That's it. You're
I think
done.
that's everybody though. You double team them. James Harden was such a big force that they had to stop. They had to make rules for him. Is where I'm coming from.
Oh
They
my
had to make
gosh.
rules for James Harden because he was able to. He
He was
knows how to.
traveling.
He knows how to manipulate the defense. He knows how to get you to foul him. He knows how to.
Yeah,
Can't close. You can't contest a James Harden shot without fouling him. You could argue
that's
that
true.
sometimes you're always gonna foul the guy. So it's like things like that is why
Okay.
I'm putting Harden. You had to
Okay.
change how you played. They had to stop
And
giving him
I'll
calls.
give you that because I think he said recently he has more free throws than he has like either points or shot attempts. So it was like he definitely gets most of his points and buckets from the free throw line, which
Yeah,
is high
so this
IQ.
you can play without it. This year, they with the new rules, he showed he could play without it. It was a facilitator averaging a triple double and
Right.
he knows how to pick his spots. He could play off ball better than I think D Wade, in my opinion. D Wade off ball is not really he's good. He's not he wasn't a predominant shooter. Like James Harden could shoot the ball. He
Hmm.
could do the step back. You put him in a pick and roll, he's picking out the right pass every single time or he's scoring it. It's just about the
Hmm.
ball. It's just about the ball getting stagnant in the pick and roll. That's where it just gets a little bit
Right.
tricky. It just kind of sits there. You could run that 50 times all game. You could run it the whole game, but no one wants to do that. So
And I think that's why I went with D Wade because that's not really a concern with him. You know, that's not really a big deal.
you had to change the defense. You had to
I
stop,
get it. I get it. But I mean, then how
stop
many
closing
times were
up the
we?
shooter because of him. Come on.
I agree. Okay. All right. So I'll go to the next one then. Kyrie versus AI. I know how I think I'd go with this one. What do you think?
I'm sorry. I think I'm just more new school. I'm gonna say Kyrie.
I would say Kyrie as well.
Kyrie's the best finisher under the rim I've ever seen. I told
And
everybody.
handles wise,
Kyrie
it's like
he would be the
handles
best.
wise. Handles wise, how do you stop? How do you stop him? As far as defense, you can't really stop his handles. You can't really push him one way or another. He's good no matter where you push him. Like you said, finishing wise, I don't really stop him. I would go
Best
Kyrie. I'm
ever.
sorry. As animalistic as AI is, Kyrie is just a different ball player altogether. Like
Yeah,
fact.
I say it all the time. Kyrie's the best finisher that's not athletic. Everybody else, athleticism goes to finishing, but like, how much skill does it really take if you're Giannis to dunk the ball? That doesn't make you a better
Right.
finisher.
Which is what Harden said. Yeah.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
LeBron. Like, LeBron's a great finisher, but again, he is so athletic. He's jumping over you.
Right.
That's people than
Yeah.
finishing. That's
Oh yeah.
Kyrie was like it's pure skill. You have to like. I have to make sure he's like I have to make sure I'm not getting blocked. Let me switch hands. Let me spin the ball over. Let me. I have
Hmm.
to beat you off the dribble, and then I have to create something it's so unpredictable.
Right.
He
No,
does
I
the
agree.
so much.
That was Shy Gilgeous's answer for why Kobe was better than Bron, because he was like, Bron, I never had Bron's body, so I could never do like all the athletic stuff he could do. But Kobe, I had his same sort of frame. And if you think about all this stuff Kobe was doing, it's like that's all skill. That's
That's
all skill. And I was like, that,
and people always forget this one of the biggest. It's footwork, skill,
whew,
footwork,
it's
repetition.
all footwork.
It's a lot of footwork because you have to get the person jumping and falling for these fakes. You have to be able to fade off the right foot. It's a lot of the things that stuff is very hard to master those things. When you're bigger and stronger, you can use those skills. But for modern day players, everybody that just looks like regular size players,
Right.
you can't rely on that. You have to rely on skills. That's why it takes so much work for you to be a small guard in NBA. You gotta be able to shoot the ball
And defend. Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna jump to one. Then we'll skip the contenders for now. Or we may come back to it. Who was your standout in summer league, or AKA your top pick of the draft? Who are you thinking is going to make one of the biggest impacts for their team after seeing summer league?
That's a very good point. I think so. First, everybody's been saying, Imani Bates still a draft.
Peace.
Obviously,
Peace.
dropped tremendous.
Man.
Cavs won it. I think the Mobley brother was a very good pick too. Was really hooping. I think Cam Thompson on the Rockets, he dropped the 20th. Cam Whitmore, I'm sorry. A very good pick. I think there's so many people I could say in this. I think I'm gonna go with Amin Thompson. I think he surprised me one of the most. Amin Thompson definitely surprised me one of the most, given that his two-way play, and I think those two brothers are probably gonna have the biggest impact, long lasting, if all healthy and everything goes as thing. But it's pretty hard. I think I'm just going with Money Bates just to go with the draft because he fell the longest with the best tools. Obviously, he adds weapons to Cavs moving forward. What about you?
Like you, it's tough not to look at Imani and say he wasn't still a draft because I mean, even at where did he go? Michigan State. I don't know. I don't. Where did he go?
He went to
he didn't go to Michigan State.
No, he started off at a school like that, or like he started off at Memphis, and he went back to a smaller D1 school in Michigan, and that's where he was scoring. Like he was more comfortable.
Right. We still see that on display at Summer League. And I was like blown away because it's like if you can score like that at this level, that means that you can do this kind of at any point, almost at will. So steal of the draft wise, I'm with you, Imani Bates, because I mean we know that man can hoop. We've been seeing it for the past few years. We know he can hoop. But like you, I am most impressed after the Summer League as far as shining by Alzir Thompson. I mean, that man can just he can show you that he can do defense, he can do offense, he can do blocking, he could score on you if he needs to. But I think the thing I'm most impressed by is his IQ, because you can't be a successful two-way player without having that IQ and knowing how to defend and then turn that into offense right away and get buckets on the other side. But then he's also a bit of a playmaker as well. He can set up plays for his teammates, and then his defensive style allows for the teammates to then get points off of that as well. So I was very impressed with Alzir Thompson, and so I think he'll probably make the biggest impact on the Pistons, one of the youngest teams in the league. And assuming Cade comes back healthy, and then they have Wiseman out there as well, and they really just have like a big man Siberia.
They have too many guards and they have like 3 7-footers.
But that's their benefit, I think.
That he just got last draft. Now you put another point guard. Now you just had Cade Cunningham. It's like you're gonna put too many combo guards, and you got to trade somebody. This is what always happens. They don't know how to play because there's too many of them. I also like the Mavericks rookie too. I think he'll play good. Contending team brings them that 3-and-D that they were missing and that they didn't have. Shoot corner threes really well. Put him on one of the better players. Kind of try to slow them down, but I think people, especially putting like a rookie on such a small like contending team, you're gonna probably see them have the most to grow, but then there's also going to be like the Hawks rookie that's going to be able to have the most to flourish in their first year because it's not they have more minutes to play. So it's interesting.
Okay, should be good to see. So then we'll see which one of these contends. So it looks like our time is winding down, and I think that's it for this episode. So we'll have to touch base on Team USA in the next episode, as well as the top contenders for the title.